Well, we're going to see where this thing winds up, but right now, Georgia, uh, with just a pure beating of Georgia Tech today, 45-0, I think was the score. Score doesn't matter. Let's be honest. As soon as Georgia scored, the game was over, and that was on the first drive. Just a total beating of what has become of this Georgia Tech program, and there's not much left of it right now. 3 wins, 3 seasons. Uh, the last 3 years is just not good enough, and there's going to have to be some decisions made around here. I don't think Jeff Collins is going to get fired, but by not going for it on fourth down at the opposition's like 35 or just across midfield, inexcusable, and really just not, you know, I don't know if his coach is scared. I don't know about that, but I was completely unimpressed with that today. But Georgia just is steady. I mean, I thought Stetson played well. It frustrates me a couple. Georgia Tech can be a tough place to work at sometimes. Not bad. Stadium's not that bad at all. But at the internet here, we're gonna be here all night trying to get this stuff out. It's terrible. But it just today was. It's just I'm just looking at the results to see where Wake Forest won. But the biggest thing was the Michigan game, and why does that matter to Georgia? Well, it really doesn't. I mean, it matters that Georgia won't have to play Ohio State to win the national championship, and I think that's a matchup that could have been problematic for the Dogs. But boy, judging by today, Michigan, is like Georgia light kind of, and they weren't having any of it. So I think there's one thing in Georgia's way for now, which is the Alabama game, and Bama's struggling at Jordan Hare, whatever you want to call it. Um, Look, Georgia's the best team in the country. They need to play steady. They are not hot and cold like a lot of these teams. Tell me the last time Georgia really didn't play well, just as a group. I couldn't tell you when. Man, the Clemson game. I mean, they really played well defensively. Um, so to me, I don't know. I think that this Georgia team is just not much to say after a while. Total domination today. Georgia Tech has got a long, long, long way to go. It is not acceptable. It is not acceptable for your arch rival to take your stadium over. I mean, at Vanderbilt, okay, but this is just. I mean, it's just not. If I were a Tech person, I would be beyond furious about today. And today is not just about today. It's about every decision that led to today. Georgia didn't just magically become the number one program in the country, number one team in the country. They planned for it. They did what they had to do to get to where they're at. And if you're a Tech, booster fan, whatever you want to call it, I'm not here to run the place down. It's an outstanding institution. Period. The end of story. But if you want to be competitive in football, you're running out of time, and you could become Tulane, or people will start saying you could become Georgia Tech. I can remember more than a handful of times coming here when I was younger, and Georgia would be outnumbered for sure. Now, these Tech seniors were playing their last game in front of a red audience. And for all the shtick that Jeff Collins has got going with the Waffle House and the no red and all that, it don't matter because you can't score. I mean, they've been beaten 100-0 in their last 2 games, and he was saying in his press conference how difficult it is to play, the top 6 teams in the country. Yeah, it is. And there was a time when this program was a top 10 team. It's been 10 years, 11, 12 years now, but there's been a time. There's been a time when Tech beat Georgia. There's been a time when Tech was competitive with Georgia. It ain't that. It's not close. It's not close. They got a guy starting at Georgia that Georgia Tech probably wouldn't put on scholarship at quarterback. And, it's not working. This guy ain't working, period. And for all the fancy stupidity with the $3 bills and the Waffle House and the no red and, the bizarre outfit decisions, it's not working, and people are getting tired of it. It's old, and honestly, to live in a talent-rich area, to have your campus where you could, drive 15 minutes and get a all-star cast, no shot they should be this bad, but they are. And the delusion of the one assistant talking about how Alabama, he came from Alabama, and why would you come from Alabama to go to Tech? And because Tech's a better. Listen, stop it, stop the elitism. It's a great school. It's Georgia's closing the gap on you there, and it just stop. Let's live in reality for a little bit. It ain't working. You're gonna have to move on Jeff Collins at some point. You're gonna do it now, or you're gonna do it in the future. Quit doing these stupid contracts. But I think to me too, the Ohio State win, the Ohio State loss. Uh, I expect the same thing for Alabama this coming week. I mean, Georgia's better than Alabama, and for all of the getting over the hump discussion, I mean, Alabama is going to have to play their best game for sure, and they're also going to have to hope that Georgia doesn't play theirs. And I don't know what Georgia's best game has been this season. I would say it was the Vanderbilt game, to be honest with you, but they didn't have a penalty today, Georgia. So I just, we're at the point here where there's been a lot of talk. Georgia ain't played nobody and all this stuff. Well, everybody they played, they beat. And now you got to do it against Alabama. It's not going to be easy. They're not going to roll over and die. They have a chance to win the national championship as the moment of recording this. If they lose to Auburn, there's no telling. But, this Georgia team is in a position to win it all. They are focused. Kirby says they keep getting better, which I think they are. And, you got George back out there today. He looked good. I thought this was a really solid day from Stetson. His legs were not as great as they've been in the past. Kenny McIntosh looks healthy. I mean, Zamir and James Cook barely did anything. And, Georgia won by 45. This defense it's surprising when the other team gets a first down. And I don't think that'll be the case against Alabama. I mean, I think Alabama will move the ball. I think Alabama will score. But I think Alabama is in trouble. I think they're going to have a challenging game in front of them. And this Georgia team doesn't need to get up for Alabama. They just need to play. And if they'll just play, they'll win. Now, they can lose. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Alabama's not to be trifled with. I mean, they're the real deal for sure. But it's evident and obvious that this Georgia team is the best team in the country, and I think besides Cincinnati, they're the only sort of legit team that's finished the regular season undefeated. I mean, I think you have to put Cincinnati at number 2 or 3 in the AP and the college football playoff. I don't know what this means for. It doesn't really change the college football playoff. I mean, Michigan's going to have to close it out against either Iowa or Wisconsin to get there. I think if they get there, let's just say Georgia beats Alabama, they're the 1 seed. Ohio State's out now. You could be talking about Notre Dame as your 4. I totally think that, by the time you're watching this next week, I suspect we will have Georgia as your 1. Probably your 2 will be Cincinnati, to be honest. It might be Michigan, but it won't matter because they'll play each other. And then you'll have Georgia Notre Dame, probably. Now, I don't think Notre Dame's going to lose to Stanford. That could happen tonight. Y'all got to understand, I do this after games. I mean, it's 4:30, so I can't know what I don't know. But I just think, to me, none of this is an accident. None of this at Georgia is an accident. They are expecting this. They are driving for this. But the stark contrast between the Jackets and Georgia, I mean, Georgia has always cared more about football in my lifetime, and it showed with the record between the two schools. With that said, it's never been this wide before. I mean, it's never been this wide. This game often in the 2000s was a game against, with ranked teams in it. 2001. 2000, I think 2003, all the way up to like 11. You had Tech and Georgia in 7 were both, in 8 were both ranked. In 11 they were both ranked. I mean, Georgia Tech was not a horrible program by any stretch, and they won a conference. But won an Orange Bowl not that long ago, I feel like. So there's a point at which you've fallen off the cliff too much. And if you ever wonder why Georgia always wants to play Georgia Tech, this is the reason why. because they view this as in the next 10 years, it's going to be challenging for Georgia Tech to be competitive with them. Georgia has put all their marbles in. They are ready to be the Alabama of the next decade. Whether they can, do that or not, I don't know. But that's what they're investing in. Georgia Tech's just trying to get to the next season, and these are not the same at all. The cuteness of the Georgia Tech fans messing with you while you're working on the field, the cheerleaders running around to where the Georgia band was to 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 do a cheer. What are you doing? It's so stupid. It's hard to understand. It's got to be embarrassing for Tech people because they're not. I mean, they're proud and just that sort of stuff. They don't have that giant bumblebee up anymore, and there's reasons for that. The powers that be just said, "Hey, look, get that thing off the field. It's embarrassing." And they had two really good coaches. They had, O'Leary, and honestly, they had Chan Gailey and to some degree Paul Johnson. They all had success. Just Chan got run out of town because he didn't beat Georgia, and Paul got run out of town because they got just tired of the option, I guess. But right now, you got a guy who he's not going to win. He's not going to win in a major way. He's won 3 times each season, the last 3 seasons. Don't tell me about the pandemic. Everybody had to play in the pandemic, and these football programs could not be further apart. And it's, I mean, honestly, it's sad. There, I said it. It is because when I was growing up, it wasn't this way at all. And Georgia has zoomed past Georgia Tech because of decisions that were made in the late '60s and '70s, and it's come back to haunt Georgia. It's come back to haunt Tech ever since. And they just, can they do it in the future? They aren't going to do it with this guy, but they could. Sure, they could, but we're a long way from that. And Tech's got to make a decision. Is this really what you want? And Jeff Collins today at the press conference kept, according to Ryan Curley, kept steering it back to let's, respect the seniors and all this stuff. That's not. It's a post-game press conference, man. You need to answer questions about what's going on in your program. So we're coming close to wrapping it up here. We got visitors, but I just, for me, Georgia's got it all in front of them. And as Stetson said, now the fun begins. Well, let's just see how much fun it's going to be, Stetson. We'll see you in Atlanta, dawgpost.com. Thanks for watching.